What's up, everybody? It's Al the Pal 78 coming at you, and I'm about to show you the basics of Excel spreadsheets. Right, the easiest way to open Excel spreadsheets, if it's not on your taskbar or if it's not in your start menu bar, is to click the start menu or press the Windows menu key. But because this is not my main screen, I click it here, and you can just type in Excel. That'll open up the program. I could open up something that I've been working on. As you can see, it's right here. Or I could just click on a blank presentation, which I usually will do if I'm starting something new. You could import stuff, export stuff, but we're going to talk about the basics. Right now, you cannot see my screen at all. So, in order for you guys to see these grid lines properly and how big they are, if I do this, it's still weird. So we're not going to do a lot. So I'm going to keep it right here. This right here means select the whole sheet. Okay. That's very important. On the other hand, will not select the whole sheet. And the reason I don't select the whole sheet, if you ever had to print this out and you select the whole sheet, yeah, you don't want to do that. You're gonna print out blank stuff for days. So I'll select about right here, and I'll come down about right here. And how do you make all the background black? You literally click on the paint button and press black. Now you don't see any grid lines at all. So we could do that by making a border. This is only so people in the video could actually see the border. And in the border, we want the lines to be white. See if that works. That did not work. So now we have to highlight it. Okay. No, I didn't want to draw no lines or borders. That's it. There you go. So as you see, all my borders are now seeable. You can see it. That's the first thing I like to do only for my videos because you obviously can't see the grid lines and I'm not doing it for any other purpose. Now, if you do not grid lines and select everything and you just want all of them to be white, as long as the cell's empty, back in the day, it wouldn't print out anything that doesn't have information in it. The very first thing you see me clicking right here is A1 cell. These little squares or rectangles, are cells. They call cells. They're part of the spreadsheet. Back in the day, they used to make this by hand, and if you had something that was this long when you write it, it was very difficult. You had to write small, real small to fit in there. And right now, you can just double click. I could press Control Z to undo that, and I did it a second time, and it undoes it. But it only undoes so far. So if you do like 100 things, it might not do 100 undos. So be careful about that. I forgot how many it is. Now, with that said, most spreadsheets have something like itinerary. So you could put like item. Oops, I had the caps lock on. You put item name, which you would put. And I'm not gonna worry about double clicking to make this expand because we're gonna fix some of this stuff. And you're gonna put like this is probably what they probably don't put it like this. I'm pretty sure nobody does in profit. But this is basically what a lot of spreadsheets really wanna declare. So I'm gonna highlight them all. I want them to be centered. See that? I want them to be centered in here. So let's show you what I mean. So that means be centered in here. I don't want it to be on the top. I don't want it to be the bottom. I always want it to be centered. However, Control Z. I mean, technically, you don't even need it right now, and it doesn't really matter because it's like that. But just in case you ever wanted to drag that down so you could see more and do more colors or whatever, that is why I do it that way. Now I'm gonna highlight all these again. You notice when you highlight the first one, the first cell stays bright and other ones get dimmed. That's to show you that that it's been highlighted. So what I want to do is make these bold. So look at that. That's beautiful. And I really like this Aptos Narrow. I think it's a pretty stuff right there. I think it's pretty nice looking. So that's why I use that font. And I set this up to be 12. Naturally, it's 11. So let's show you something very simple. If you click on File and go to Options, you can change the body font right here whatever you want. This will be the default. So every time you open up a workbook, it'll be that font. So you say you changed it. You could change it from 11 to 12. Some people like 16. And you could change how it's view. I just like the normal view, and you could include a lot of sheets. Right now, I got it. It's one sheet, but I believe that's me because until I need another sheet, I don't want to open it. Maybe I will start with two sheets later on. It has no background. I don't know why you need a background. For this, it doesn't do anything for it for me. And I have the black theme on, which usually comes with like a white theme, I think, on, which is fine. Oh, that's perfectly fine. But that's how you set all that up. I'm just gonna press cancel, and there are different ways to make this bigger or smaller. And sometimes you also want these four to, be a couple of dots bigger. Now you see, we're not gonna worry about that because we don't know how big these names are going to be. So let's just say you have a shovel because you're gonna find some gold, and you have a metal detector. I don't know if a metal detector actually has um you know shows gold, but I'm pretty sure it does. What else would you need? A bucket of fun, and what else could you need? Finding gold, a wheelbarrow. I don't know why. All right, so we know for sure. I mean, first thing, let's look at something real quick. All these are literally a general cell now. I mean, you could put whatever you want on it, and let's put a number here. And they probably want to change the fact that it's a general cell. You have this accountant. This usually is for like accountant stuff. I mean, if we press it, it's an accountant cell now, meaning it's currency, but for accountant. So it'll always have the dollar sign way off to the left. If you don't like that, which I don't mind, I think it looks good, you could change it to currency right here. And this is only going to be numbers. So if you put like this in there, yeah, it says currency, but what's the purpose of having it as currency? And you could change all this in here, make it a date, whatever you want to do. But we're gonna put the shovel as our price $7. See, it's currency. I don't like currency. I kind of like this accounting, and I like the dollar sign where we're here because now it's formatted no matter how much money it is. Like let's just put it like 23 and then 54 or whatever. That's how much you're gonna pay for it. And it's general right now. But if I put currency, see it's right there. But if I put accountant, which is um, default, it puts over there. So the format's kind of similar to this format, and we can get used to seeing the dollar sign way in the front. And it's usually if you make it bigger, it's usually just two decimal spots because it's an accountant, and it's gonna round up for you, and it's gonna do that when it's too small. You know what I'm saying? But like let's just say right here, this is called the formula bar up here. Sometimes clicking on here and double clicking it is kind of annoying. Then you have to realize where you want to go. I just want to go to the end. Sometimes clicking in the formula bar is easy to work with, but let's just put a lot of numbers, right? And you press enter, it's still going to give you just two decimal spots. It's not going to give you a lot of numbers. You could actually change that if you want, like this. Click it like that, and it gets rid of them, and click it like that, and it gives you more. I like two. I like that format. That's what I'm going to keep. So as you can see over here, this is all, it's coming over here. But if I come down right here, if I go down a cell, all right, and if you want to know what cell you're in, you could look up in the corner here. It says the cell number. You go B and come down and say 3. It's always with the letters first. Columns, then rows. Columns are down, rows are to the right. Columns you could think of vertical, and rows you could think of horizontal. The more you know. Anyways, if I start putting a number here, say the metal detector is $350. Well, $300 for me, and I'm gonna charge you $350. All right. So we have this as accountant, and we even want profit to be the same type of stuff. But you notice the metal detector name got thing, and then this is all cut off. But we're gonna fix that pretty soon. But let's just say I want all these cells, and I have thousands of cells, right? Well, if I want to format this, I go format right here, format painter, and I can click and highlight. But I think control down and then highlight it. Try that again. Format, control shift down. And since that's the only thing, oh, hold on, let's try another number. All right, let's just try that. That's how much I'm paying. You're paying 80,000. No, I'm joking. But let's just say on here, let's just see if that works. Control down should go once. No, it goes to the bottom, which is excellent. So you press control and the down arrow key. It's gonna go cover whatever numbers and cells are good. But if I try to put a number here and I try that format painter control arrow down, it's only gonna go to before the blank space right here. It's not gonna go all the way down unless you have um, a number here or something like that. This number is ridiculous. So let's actually change this number. The bucket's only gonna cost like $3 for me and $5 for you. I was like, what is that? But it's the thing. So we actually want this to be format painted all the way down to here. Wheelbarrow is gonna cost like at least $45 for me, $60 for you. Now, if you have a small table or spreadsheet, you can make all this into a table if you want. But if you don't want to make it into a table right now, I'm not going to show you how to do that. This is very basic stuff right here. So if you just want to highlight them all, and you know you're gonna be able, you know you're gonna want like all this up to here highlighted, you could just go for click on here, select Format Painter, highlight all that. Right, because I'm gonna skip a spot and I'm gonna call this totals. All right, we know for sure this is all I'm selling. So I want that. Oh, I don't like that totals to be like that. I want it like this. So let's Format Paint. Click here. Bam, it's bigger. I think it's too big to be honest. So let's control. So I highlighted all this, control that, and I'm just gonna bring it down to 14. All right. But they're all bold, so that's great. And since I know for sure there's nothing to be bigger than what's on here, you can click all cells, and then it doesn't matter which one we do it on. But if we double click here, it'll make it so it could see all the words, and it'll center this since this word is bigger than the space and makes it look pretty. You can see everything and read all the words. All I did was double click where the double line is, where the double arrow is side to side like that. That makes this life easier. Now this is gonna be usually on like stores or whatever. It's usually gonna be huge. It's just gonna be like thousands and thousands of lines. So you could call this spreadsheet your data sheet, right? Like that. I like to keep it like that format like that. It's called camel casing data sheet. This might not be camel. I don't know. It's kind of called camel casing. Usually the first word is lowercase, but I like to do it like that for spreadsheets. Then you add another one, another sheet, and you can double click right here, and you can name it like formula sheet or something like that. Because you don't have to do the formulas on the same sheet. It just reference the sheet, or you could just copy and like reference this whole sheet. And some people do that so they don't ever mess up or mess with the actual main data. They don't mess it up, so they want to reference everything. So they have a copy sheet. It copies everything from the sheet and it puts it into like a the data sheet into like a usable data sheet or something like that. So if you mess up the usable data sheet and you change numbers on accident, the main data sheet is not going to change them. You can always refer it back to it. And sometimes this is actually live numbers. So let's get into the formulas that we want to do. First formula I want to do is a very simple formula to get the profit from here to here. All right. So I'm not selling you a shovel for $235. Obviously, probably $10 to $15. I gotta make a profit. I drove all the way to get it. Plus, it's bringing a lot of I put it, it's bringing a lot of you know weight back on my vehicle, and now I have to drive again. And too much weight is more power for your gas, even for your car. So you gotta use more gas. I gotta make this gas money. So the rest of these are all right. They seem normal. So I'm only gonna work on the first shovel. Then we're gonna copy it, so we don't have to do it for the whole what they call it for the whole sheet. Like because it's just like 250 rows down. We don't want to do 250 rows of this. You know what I'm saying? Now you know what I'm saying. So the first formula is, and how to do a formula. You could either click on here and then start typing. Click inside the formula bar and stop typing. Now, if it's that I just have to start typing and I don't have to double click and fix anything, I just like to go on there and start with the formula. To create a formula in Excel spreadsheet, you have to do an equal sign. I could type all this in, but so I don't mess it up, I will click this. Then I press the minus button. Then I click this. Then I press enter. Now I made a $3 profit. That's amazing. So what I could do is I could drag this down by see the how the let's make it bigger. You see how the cursor is changing in the corner, and you could drag it down or double click it. Right? I like to usually double click it right here, and it'll drag everything down. Now we're gonna go down more, right? Right, and we're gonna double click here, and now everything's in there, and it's beautiful. I think there's a way you can have it automatically um, fit for this. Like so it could automatically this will stretch. I don't know how to do that yet. We're gonna work on that. I don't want to teach that either because I know I've seen it done before, and I know it's a bit more difficult than basic knowledge, and I don't want to deal with that. But as I double click, you see 350 minus 200 is 50, so you know it's working. That's why I use simple numbers, so make sure it works. But you could always add some like 297.36, and it's gonna change it automatically, dynamically. It's gonna give you the cents and everything, and it's rounded. All right. Now down here, you just want to know the total of everything, right? So once again, we have to click on the equals button, and then we start typing SUM, right? That's great. We want to press the tab button or key, and now we have all the numbers we want to do. So you don't mess everything up. You click here one time, and you press Control down. Nope. Okay, let's do that again. Control Shift down, and it'll highlight all the cells, like I said, all the way up to the blank. So if you have numbers down here and the totals are down here, but it has a blank space, it's not picking up your empty cells. So you make sure it's not empty. Usually like this, we could just press enter and it works. But if you have a problem, right, and it's like this, and you press enter and it doesn't seem like it wants to work, just close the parentheses, right? And once again, you could do the sum, and it's easy to do it for just 3 columns. But if you have like 7 different columns, and you could put like your price plus the shipping, your price plus shipping price, customer price. Now you have like all these other ones. That's crazy. Other way you could do this is press Control C means copy, and if you press Control Shift and right, it'll go all the way to the end. Right? We don't want that, so we press Control. Oh, that's not working. Press Shift down and then press Enter, and I believe that will work too. Yeah. And the reason that's happening is because there's no ending spot here. So once I take up the whole row, I knew that something like that was going to happen. So if you really look at what I did, I made a $72 profit, which is not bad for 4 different items. Um, you know, but the more bulk I buy, the less these prices will be. So if I had like a table that basically says equals, click on the table, you put A1, press enter, it's gonna basically do that, right? So I believe if you drag this down like to the right, it should copy everything. And if you which is nothing there, so it's putting a 0. If you drag this down right here, oh, if you highlight all this, right, and then I believe you should be able to drag it down now, and it'll have all these zeros. But you see, it literally is copying zeros, so you can say there's nothing in there. Now there's nothing in there. We could just delete that. There's formulas and stuff in different ways we could do that, but since it's a very simple thing, and once again, we could delete all the zeros, and we could format these as well. We all know we want accountants, so that makes that easier. But if it was a bigger sheet, you know, we'd have to do it differently, and look for it with different formulas. But this is, like I said, this is your formula sheet or whatever. We could change this name to the formula like copy sheet. Uh, what I said before, data sheet to use. And all of this is a copy of this sheet. But the zeros are good. They add the zeros, so you know the zeros is blank. So even if you do math on this or formulas that do math, it's what's 0 plus 0? 0. What's 45 plus 0? 45. So it doesn't change it unless you do multiplications and it becomes 0. You're like, why it became 0? Like, oh, that's why. But usually when it has zeros like that, you're not multiplying with it anyway. So we see how we fixed all this up. Now, it's not the same format, but we don't need it to be formatted and looking pretty. We could leave it exactly like this. This is the data sheet we want to use. And then this is like, then you add another sheet. And now this is the formula sheet. Hold on. Double click here. Now this is the formula sheet. Just go put formula. I'm going to put sheet to keep it consistent. And then we could just put like equals blah, 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 whatever we need to worry about. Whatever function, whatever. Now the cool thing is when I change something over here, let's just say I got this for like $42, right? So when I come in here, because it's dynamically done, you see that the $42, and let's say I put 41 dot let's put 89. It's gonna always dynamically change here, and it's gonna always dynamically change here. See what I'm saying? So you always could see um you could always see your profits and change. So when you're using a formula sheet, if you mess something up here, because it's a reference, see how it's a reference to the data sheet, B2, that's okay if you mess up something here, because guess what? It might not be a reference anymore, but you know something's wrong when you start messing with formulas over here. Now, it's like, okay, so now you just come here and you just, do that, and it's back to 7, and you format paint that, and now it's back to 7 from here. This is my first basic understanding of spreadsheets. Like I said, I did the color. You don't have to change the color. You will see the grid lines. But OBS Studio and any other what they call it recording stuff probably won't see that grid line. You don't even need to see the grid line, but I like to show it. It helps identify each cell. Also, if you have a cell, say this is A10, you could rename the cell to Yo or whatever name you want. And now that cell forevermore will be named Yo. And what will happen with this is you could in formulas you could say equals Yo, what I'm saying, minus whatever. But we're gonna undo that naming. It's crazy. But sometimes you might want to define a whole range right here, which is just this is going a little bit out of basic, but you want to define this whole range. And this is well, let's put this range. It's easy to name. You could put profit range. You know what I'm saying? So this is a little bit must enter a valid reference. Okay, so we're gonna come here and then name the right click and just put define range. That's a better way of doing it. Define name. Let's see. Profit range. Right? And in your formula here, it could be some, and then instead of having that, I'm just gonna start off from the beginning. I'm gonna put equals sum tab and see open parentheses. I could put profit range, close it, and it's gonna give you the same number because it's this. So we could rename all this, and that's a little bit above basics, but it's not that hard to understand. You're naming the profits, so you call it profit range, and you just sum up profit range. It's gonna add it all up. There it is. Make your life. You can name this like my price range and your price range, but it can be separated. You have to name it. Like you see here, like I put in here. I put this range right here. It has to be. It can't be separated. The name cannot be separated. It has to be together. You can't. Or you could put like an underscore or a dash, but you can't have it like a space in between. But that's it for this video. This lasted way too much, way longer than I wanted it to for something so simple and basic. But yeah, this is the basics of making a spreadsheet. I mean, it's actually it's very basic, and then it's actually kind of kind of more advanced, but simple advanced, not too hard, you know, basic advanced, I guess. I don't know how to say it. I'm crazy like that. So next time,